called Learning to Be Human. I'm afraid to talk about why I am angry with my mother. Well, I'm not actively angry at her, but I am mad about a lot of things from when my brother and I were growing up. I am very angry about it, in fact. So angry that though I have been aware of these feelings for quite some time, I rarely allow even more than a blip of it to manifest. I'm very afraid. I'm afraid that if I think about it, dig it out, and look it in the eye, that I will be so angry that I will not be able to be around my mother, whom I love. I'm afraid that if we ever talk about it, I will explode, and then it will ruin what I find to be a perfectly acceptable relationship with my mother, that it will play into the same script of how my mother and I handle conflict with each other, that it will justify her insistence that I am just like my father. I am afraid because I love her and love the relationship she has with my children, and if I break it, then my children will lose out on her presence in their lives. My fingers are trembling. I am deeply afraid. When I was a child, I adored my father. He was so fun and exciting. He told the best jokes, was the life of every party, was so clever and smart and big and handsome and larger than life. He was everything to me. I love my mother, of course, but in my memory, she's not really there. She was a shadow in the background. How could I even see her in the shade of my father and son? Of course, it wasn't fair. My father went back to work in Taiwan when I was in the 5th grade and was gone for months at a time. My mother was left to be a single parent, supporting us, providing for us, doing everything for us, including the hard parts of parenting us. My father would come back for 2 weeks, every 3 months, and be fun, take us on trips, play games, injecting life into our family. How could she possibly compete? I did not know that even then, he was already having affairs and deceiving us. How could I? My mother never told me. Sometime in the intervening years, I placed my mother on a pedestal. She was the victim in our family saga, the injured and the wronged. If anyone dared criticize her, I would be inflamed and respond in rage. You do not understand her. How dare you judge her? She did the best she could. She was so young. She was alone. Her Taiwanese and Chinese Christian culture trapped her. And of course, those circumstances are still true and still valid. But it is no longer enough. It is no longer a narrative that fits. It no longer fits because it is not entirely true. It is not the whole of it. I am such an extreme person. In my mind, you are either a good person or a bad person, hero or villain, perfect or damned. There's no room to be human. I have cast my family narrative with my mother as the victim, my father as villain, and my brother and I as the supporting characters, the clever children upon whom plot points hinge, but never the main characters. Only my father had agency. The rest of us revolved around him and reacted to whatever bombs he exploded into our lives. But that is not true either. I'm afraid to poke around the anger I hold of my mother because it doesn't fit the narrative I have created in order to cope with my father's abuse and her role in it. I'm afraid to talk about how she utterly failed to protect me and my brother from my father because I can feel the rage and despair and fear and hurt and bewilderment rising in my chest, lodging itself there because I refuse to break down weeping in public. I am afraid because though she was young and afraid, and so many things I will never fully understand, she failed. She failed her fundamental job as a mother, which was to keep us safe. She did not protect us from my father. She kept us in his thrall. She taught us to lie and pretend to everyone that everything was okay, that we were safe. She stayed with him for 36 years. She, more than my father, more than anyone else in my life, she taught me how to lie. And to add insult to injury, she does not remember. She claims she never knew, has the audacity to react indignantly to horrifying stories about him and say, what kind of father would do this? What kind of mother allows a father to do this to her children? What kind of mother then forgets. I'm afraid to see my mother as human. If she is human, then my father might be also. If he is human, then I might have to reconsider my decision to cut him out of my life. If I have to reconsider my decision to cut him out of my life, I have to re-examine my childhood, his role in it, and then my mother's role in it, and then I might have to encounter my anger again. It is a vicious cycle. Despite my mother never outright saying to my face that I'm just like my father, I know to the core of my being that that is what she believes. She does not have to say it. It is all over her face. It is in how she responds to conflict with me, no matter how minor. My brother and I can say the exact same thing to her, and she will get mad at me, but then turn around and do what my brother suggests. It is a slap in my face, a constant reminder of how my mother really sees me. If my mother believes I am my father, how can it not be true? But I am not my father, no matter what my mother says, no matter what my brain says. Because if I were my father, every time my mother pissed me off or said something I didn't like, I would literally try to silence her by ending her life. I would try to smother her with a pillow or stick a butcher knife to her throat or wrap my hands around her throat and squeeze. If I were my father, I would hit my children in the face, slapping their glasses clear across the room when they talk back at me. I would throw their plates in their faces or into their laps or on the floor when they refused to eat their dinner. I would spank them so hard over minor infractions that their bottoms would have welts and would require salves. If I were my father, I would have my husband force my children to apologize to me for getting me so mad that I hurt them. I would have my children swallow all my abuse and then make them apologize to me for it. I would blame everyone except myself. I would never take responsibility for anything in my life. That my mother believes I would respond like my father wounds me. I am deeply insulted. I am furious. I make light of it instead. I am excellent at deflection. It is hard for me to see my children as human. Truthfully, I have a hard time seeing anyone as human. I mean, obviously they're humans, but I have an incredibly difficult time seeing them as human with the full range of emotions accorded to humans. It is especially difficult with my daughter Gamera, because for fuck's sake, she is so emotional all the fucking time. Just get it together already, but don't repress yourself. Oh my God, for the love of all that is holy, please stop crying. My father used to punish me for my perceived thoughts. Whatever the reason, if he didn't like my face, he would say, I know what you're thinking and you're wrong. I would get punished for things I didn't say or possibly even think. I was not allowed to be human. I was not allowed to have or express a normal range of emotions. I was not allowed to be mad or cry or whatever else it was I was feeling. I wasn't even allowed to have thoughts that were my own. I was only allowed to be what my parents expected and wanted. And then it hit me like the proverbial ton of bricks. I am doing the same thing to my daughter. It is so hard for me to trust and acknowledge my daughter's pain and emotions. I sucked it up, so why can't she? And so I do the same thing to her that was done to me. I am uncomfortable with emotions because I never really had the safety or the space to be human. My parents didn't model to me what it meant to be human. They did not teach me how to deal with the chaos they created, let alone the maelstrom of normal teenage emotions. We were a family constructed of lies and denial. How could the honesty of feelings and emotions survive? I want better for my children, for my precious daughter. She is only 6. My job is to teach her how to be human and how to feel things even if they're inconvenient, and perhaps especially when they're inconvenient. And yes, to figure out how not to cry all the time, but somehow not have her repress her emotions and hate herself and who she is and why she has these big emotions, even though it seems overblown and ridiculous to me, and sometimes to distract her out of a rut of screaming and crying. But mostly, just to tolerate it and let her be, to resist the urge to shut her down and tell her to suck it up, to let her live and to be human, to give her the gift of the fullness of her humanity, even if it triggers every single button I have from a lifetime of self-protection. perhaps then I can also give that same gift to my mother, to my father, and most importantly, to myself. Thank you, friends, for giving me the space to be human.